Jidena didn't grow up with a silver spoon, but he grew up with something better, a good father and a sharp mind. His father, Mr. Okoye, ran a middle-sized distribution company, not the biggest, but respected. And Jidena, he was the type of young man who didn't talk too much. He just delivered results. Jidena walked into Mr. Okoye's office. I checked the figure you submitted last week. You corrected errors I didn't even notice, said Mr. Okoye, smiling. I just wanted the business to grow, Dad, replied Jidena. Mr. Okoye smiled, because every father prays for a son who carries responsibility like honor. But favor is sweet for the receiver and bitter for the watchers. Jidena's older brother, Kele, Ifeanyi, and the rest worked in the same company, and slowly they noticed something. Their father trusted Jidena the most. Ifeanyi, see how Dad listened to him like he's the only son. Kele, because he thinks intelligence is everything. Tobe is just doing his job, I beg. Tobe had a softer heart, but he still stood in the wrong crowd. Then something else started. Jidena began having dreams, strong ones, not random dreams, the kind that stays on your mind like a message. One morning at breakfast, he said it. Dad, I had a dream. I saw the business expanding like crazy, and I saw me leading operations, not because I wanted it, but because it was necessary. Kele, so you are already seeing yourself as a boss. Ifeanyi, small boy with big dream. Jidena, be careful how you speak. Not everybody clap for destiny, said Mr. Okoye calmly. Jidena nodded, but the dream had already entered their head as an insult. One evening, after work, the brothers gathered. Kele, this boy will soon take over everything if we don't act. Ifeanyi, so what do we do? Kele, we remove him from the system. Once he's out, Daddy will have no choice. Tobe, remove him? How? Don't try nonsense, so. Kele, relax. No blood, no drama, just a clean disgrace. That's how wicked plans sound. Clean, organized, reasonable, until it destroys a life. They waited for the perfect time. A big payment came in, a large transfer. Kele told Jidena to help reconcile the account because he was good with numbers. Jidena stayed back late. He didn't know they were using him as a target. Jidena, you are still in the office? Asked Tobe. Yes, I'm almost done. I want the balance to be corrected before tomorrow, replied Jidena. Okay, just be careful, said Tobe. That warning was small, but it was real. While Jidena walked, Kele did something wicked. He created a fake trial, screenshots, edited emails, uttered approval. Then he took a photo of Jidena at the desk so it would look like he was caught in the act. Tomorrow we end this dream, whispered Kele, satisfied. Mr. Okoye stood in his office with printed documents in his hands. What's the meaning of this? He asked. The brothers stood around him like concerned saints. Jidena walked in confused. Dad, what happened? Ifeanyi, we didn't want to believe it too, but Kele, Jidena, tell Daddy the truth. And Mr. Okoye dropped the bomb. They said money is missing and that you authorized a transfer to a private account. Jidena, what? Dad, I did not. Kele then explained this approval. Jidena looked at the papers and his stomach drop because his name was on them, but the signature was not his. Mr. Okoye very angry. Jidenna, look at me and tell me, did you do this? That question did not sound like investigation. It sounded like betrayal. Dad, I swear on everything I respected, I did not steal from you. Mr. Okoye's eyes failed, not because he believed the lie, but because he couldn't understand why this was happening inside his own house. In corporate life, image is everything, and the brothers pushed hard. Report it, fire him, make an example. Soon staff were whispering. Staff 1, is it true? The boss son? Staff 2, so na inside thief. Jidenna walked through that office like a man carrying shame he didn't create. Mr. Okoye, with pains in his eyes, Jidenna, step aside first. Let auditors look into it. Dad, you know me. I know, but I also have a company. That line broke him because sometimes people choose reputation over relationship. Jidenna left the company not because he was guilty, but because the house has turned cold. He sat in a cheap taxi, staring out of the window, and he whispered, God, you gave me a dream. I did not know it would start like this. But if you are with me, I will not become bitter. He did not know that the next place he would enter would be a bigger house, a powerful man's house, and there another test was waiting, a test that would push him into the darkest season before the brightest lifting. After the disgrace, Jidenna did run to social media. He didn't start shouting, they set me up. He did what people with grace do. He kept moving with God in front. Then one afternoon, his phone rang. Good afternoon. Is this Jidenna Okoye? Yes, speaking. My name is Mrs. Salami. Mr. Daramola reviewed your CV and wants to see you today. Jidenna blinked because Mr. Daramola was not small. Powerful executive, connected, words that speak without shouting. And Jidenna, it was coming from shame. Jidenna entered Daramola Group headquarters. Clean floor, glass wall, quiet confidence. He was led into an office. Mr. Daramola calmly authorized. Sit. Thank you, sir. I heard what happened at your father's company. But I also heard you are brilliant. Tell me, if they truly set you up, why are you not fighting? Sir, I will clear my name with time, but I won't destroy my soul trying to prove a point. If God lifted me before, He can lift me again. Mr. Daramola's eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger, in interest, because he had seen many talented men but few disciplined ones. You start tomorrow. Jidenna was so happy. Jidenna started like a man hungry to redeem his life. He arrived early, stayed late, corrected errors nobody noticed, saved the company money quietly. Within weeks, people began whispering, Staff 1, that new guy, is sharp. Staff 2, he doesn't gossip, he just work. And so, Mr. Daramola noticed too. Jidenna, yes sir, from today, I want you to oversee my personal, logistic, and key accounts. I need someone I can trust. That silence hit like prophecy because trust was what he lost at home, and now God was restoring it in public. But the higher you rise, the more eyes look at you. Mr. Doramola's wife, Mrs. Doramola, noticed Jidena not because he greeted her, not because he disrespected, but because he was young, calm, and didn't behave like men begging for attention. One evening, she met him in the hallway. "So you are the new golden boy. Good evening, ma. You work too hard. Don't you get tired?" "Ma, I'm grateful to be here." She smiled, but it wasn't a normal smile. It was the kind that tests boundaries. Days passed. Then one night, Mr. Doramola traveled for a business meeting. The house became too quiet. Jidena stayed back to finish a report and intended to leave. Mrs. Doramola appeared too close. "Jidena, come." "Ma, is there anything you need?" "I need company. This house is lonely." Jidena stepped back because loneliness is not an excuse for sin. "Ma, please, I respect your husband. I respect this house. Respect or fear? Neither. Conviction." "Respect or fear?" asked Mrs. Doramola. She reached out for his sleeves. Jidena pulled back immediately. "So you think you are too holy? Ma, don't do this." Then she grabbed his shirt harder. Jidena did the only thing that protects destiny. He left the shirt and ran out, not because he was weak, but because he was wise. Mrs. Doramola shouted, "Help! Help! That boy! Help! Help!" Half-staffs ran in. Madam, what happened?" In 1 minute, she turned from seducer to victim. She held the skirt like evidence, and when Mr. Doramola returned the next day, he was furious. "I tried to warn you. He's been looking at me strangely. Yesterday, he came close. He tried to force himself." Mr. Doramola's face changed, not because he had proof, but because men like him fear disgrace more than they seek truth. "Call security." Jidena was called into the office. He walked in and saw security. HR was there. The same pattern was repeating. Different building, same pain. "Jidena, there is a serious allegation against you." "It's a lie. You entered my house and tried to disgrace me." "Sir, I swear before God, I did not touch your wife. She tries to pull me into something I ran." Mr. Doramola stared at him for a second. He almost believed him, but Mrs. Doramola was already crying and public image was already shaking. "Hand him over." Jidena begged and cried, but his heart did not change. Again, he was being punished for doing the right thing. And now, it wasn't just job lost. It was police. It was detention. It was a dark season. That would become the bridge to his greatness. Detention is not just a place, it's a feeling that your life has been paused by people who don't even know your heart. Jidena sat on a bench, staring at the floor, not because he was weak, but because he was tired of repeating the same sentence. "I didn't do it. God, I did the right thing. Please don't let my right become my wrong." Detention officer: "You new guy, stand." Yes, sir," replied Jidena. "Your file doesn't match your behavior." "Sir, I'm innocent." "Innocent or guilty, behave yourself here. No trouble." And Jidena did. He helped clean. He kept peace. He spoke with respect, even in a place where respect is rare. After some days, the officer in charge, the warder, started watching him. Not watching like suspicious, watching like curiosity. That Jidenna, what's his case? Big man's wife story allegation. Put him on admin duties. Let him assist with records and supplies. When God is with you, you can't hide it. Your character will speak for you even in trouble. Then one day, two important men entered detention. Not street boys, corporate men. The kind that smell like boardroom even in handcuff. One was Seyi, a personal assistant to Governor CEO Adeyemi. The other was Tayo, the exclusive chief who handled high-level events. Both had fallen out of favor after a scandal in the governor's office. Seyi, looking so frustrated. This is unbelievable. After all my years of loyalty. Tayo, bitter and angry. My hands cooked. Not politics. Why am I here? They were angry, confused, and scared. And Jidenna noticed something early. They carried secrets. The next morning, Jidenna saw them sitting like men who hasn't slept. You both look troubled. Did something happen? We had dreams, strange ones, and it's making us restless. Tayo is like a warning, but we don't understand. Jidenna didn't laugh. He didn't dismiss it. He said something that revealed his spirit. Meaning belongs to God, but understanding can come through people. Tell me, Seyi, in my dream, I was back in the office. The governor called me. I picked up his call, arranged his schedule like normal, and he looked at me and said, "You are back." Then he smiled. "You will be restored. Your name will be cleared. You will return to that office," said Jidenna. Seyi, how? How did you know? Are you sure? Because the dream had peace at the end. God doesn't end restoration with confusion. Seyi's eyes softened. Hope entered. Then Jidenna added quietly, like a man who has suffered too. When you return, please remember me. I was set up twice. I just want a fair hearing and a chance to live again. Seyi, I will, I promise. Tayo, mine was different. I saw a big event. I prepared food, but suddenly everything spoiled. People started shouting. The governor stood up angrily, and security heard me. Jidenna's face changed slightly. Not fear, just heavy truth. Your case won't end well if you don't speak the truth. There is something you know or something you did, and it will be exposed. Tayo, I didn't do anything. Then cooperate fully. Don't hide anything, because the dream is warning, not mocking. Tayo went quiet because sometimes the truth is loud even when nobody says it. Not long after, Seyi was suddenly called out for review. Seyi packed up. It is time. It is time. He left detention, and within days his name was cleared. He returned to office. Tayo, however, was moved deeper into legal trouble after investigation discovered missing funds tied to the same scandal. And Jidenna, he watched both outcomes and waited for his own. Days passed, then weeks. No call, no lawyer with good news, no message from Seyi. And Jidenna realized something painful. The same way the cupbearer forgot Joseph, Seyi had forgotten him too. God, am I invisible? But here is what most people don't know. Sometimes God allows you to be forgotten by men so that your lifting up will not be tied to man's pride. A major supply crisis hit the country warehouse were stuck, ports delayed, distributions failed, and the governor in charge was under pressure because when people can't buy food and essentials, they don't ask polite questions, they protest. Governor Adeyemi sat in his office late at night, staring at reports like they were enemies. So nobody had a plan. All these advisors and no solution. Advisor 1, sir, we can try price control. Adeyemi, that's not a plan. That's noise. He rubbed his forehead. Then he said something that sounded like desperation. Adeyemi, I need someone who understands system, someone who can focus, store, and distribute. I need solution, not grammar. Door opened quietly, and that's when Sheyi walked in, hesitating. Sir, I remember something. When I was in detention, I met a man. His name is Jidena. He helped me. He told me I would be restored, and it happened. He has an unusual mind, clear, strategic, and he's God-fearing, sir. Where is he? Still in detention, sir. Bring him now. One sentence, and the season shift again. Bring him. Jidena didn't know it yet, but the same detention that tried to bury him was about to deliver him to the biggest table of his life. They brought Jidena out of detention like a man being pulled from yesterday into tomorrow. He was given clean clothes, a quick haircut, a chance to look like himself again. Not because the world suddenly became kind, but because the world needed him. Behave yourself. You are going to see important people. Sir, I've been behaving since the day I entered here. And as he stepped into the car, he whispered a familiar prayer. God, if this is you, guide my mouth. Governor Adeyemi sat like a man who had not slept in days. When Jidena entered, the room went quiet. So you are the one. Good evening, sir. I heard you have solution. I don't need stories. I need results. Jidena nodded. Because he didn't come to impress. He came to serve. They said you predicted a man's restoration in detention. How? Governor Adeyemi asked. Sir, I don't claim power, but I believe God gives insight. When he gives it, it comes with clarity. Some advice scuffled quietly because pride hates anything it can't control. Advisor 1, God again? Adeyemi, let him speak. Sir, the supply crisis is not just shortage, it's a shame problem. Port delay, warehouses disorganized, distributions leak, middlemen panic. If we treat only price, we will still collapse. Adeyemi, so what do you suggest? This was the moment where destiny either shakes or speaks, and Jidena spoke. Identify essential items and log verified suppliers. Secure emergency stock in key zone. Stop leakage with a transparent tracking system. Build strategic reservoir. Create regional warehouse. Control movement with verified distribution pattern. Local production boost. Insensitive manufacturers. Reduce important independency. The room shift because that wasn't talk, that was structure. If I give you this responsibility, how do I know you won't stay? That question didn't just test his skills, it tested his character. Sir, I have already been accused of what I didn't do. I know the pain of falsehood. If you give me this role, put control in place, audit me weekly, track every movement. I don't fear accountability. I fear God. Adeyemi stared at him. Because a man who welcomes accountability is dangerous in a good way. Sheyi, yes sir, draft an emergency appointment letter. From today, Jidena Okoye is head of crisis logistics and supply operations. He answered directly to me. Advisor 2. From dictation to this. Exactly. When God lifts a person, the spirit can embarrass yesterday. Governor Adeyemi also made a call, not for favor, for fairness. Reopen his case. I want the evidence reviewed. If the allegation was false, I want it documented. Because power can bury people or it can bring light. And this time, light was coming. Jidena went to work immediately. He moved like a man who had been prepared by pain. He set up tracking system, verified suppliers, closed leakage, organized warehouses, and within weeks, things began to stabilize. Media was on fire. Reporters showed improvement in supply distribution across key zones. People started breathing again, and the governor's office started shining. One night, after work, Jidena sat alone and his heart remembered home. He looked at his phone, his father's number. He didn't call, not because he hated him, but because healing takes time. God, take care of my father. One day, let the truth speak. Then another wave came. The crisis has stabilized, but the economic shock. Businesses started failing. Prices rose. People begged for contracts, supplies, and survival. And guess who needed access to the new supply system? The same company that once disgraced Jidena, his father's company. Because without government distribution approval, they would collapse. One morning, a list was placed on Jidena's desk. Companies requesting urgent supply approvals. He scanned names until his eyes stopped. Okoye Distribution Limited, his father's company, his former company, his brother's company, the same place where his dream was mocked. Jidena leaned back slowly because destiny had just arranged a meeting, not for review, but for revolution. Kele and the brothers didn't come as kings anymore. They came as men under pressure. Their father's company needed government approval to survive. Without it, contract would die. Staff would lose jobs. Their father would sink. So they walked into the governor's supply office with humility that hardship produced. They met with the office assistant. Company name, Kele replied, Okoye Distribution. Office assistant, you have an appointment with the head of crisis operation. Wait. They sat, and none of them knew that head of crisis operations was the brother they buried with lies. Sheyi entered first, met with the brothers, and said, you can go in now. Please be respectful. He's strict. Yes, of course, we will, replied Ifeanyi. Jidena sat behind the white desk. It didn't look like that boy anymore. The brothers froze for a second, but didn't recognize him fully. Because life can change someone so much that your mind refuses to believe it. Good morning, sir. Good morning, replied Jidena. Sit down. They sat like schoolboys in front of a principal, and Jidena's heart, it beat, but his face stayed still. State your names and your positions in the company, said Jidena. I'm Kele Okoye Operations. I'm Ifeanyi Okoye Sales. I'm Tobe Okoye Logistic. Jidena nodded slowly, writing as if these were strangers, but inside him, old memories were shouting. Your company is requesting a special access to the emergency distribution route. Why should I approve you? Sir, we've been in distribution for years. We have capacity, staff, trucks, Kele said smoothly. Capacity is not character. Do you have a good record of integrity? Replied Jidena. Ifeanyi replied quickly, yes sir, we are a family business, very reputable. Jidena almost smiled. Family business. If only they knew the family part was what broke him. Jidena asked, who is the owner? Tobe replied quickly, he's our father, Mr. Okoye. Jidena pen paused just for 1 second, then continued. How is he? He's not as strong as before. This season has stressed him, replied Kele. So the father who asked, did you steal, was now weak. Life, it has a way of humbling everyone. How many children does Mr. Okoye have? Asked Jidena. Ifeanyi was confused. All he could say at that moment was sir, with his mouth wide open. Then Kele cued in. We are 6 sons. Jidena asked again, any other? There was another by name Jidena, Toby said quietly. The name entered the room like smoke. Kele swallowed. Ifeanyi looked away. Tobe's eyes dropped because Git never forgets a name. Where is he? Asked Jidena. Jidena stared at Kele, not angry, just disappointed. Because after all these years, the lie was still sitting on their tongues comfortably. Jidena asked coldly, so you are saying he was guilty? Ifeanyi acting pained. Sir, it was painful, but yes, we found evidence. Tobe could not carry it. His mouth opened slightly, then closed, and Jidena noticed, because people who still have conscience always struggle with lies. Here are my conditions. 1. You will sign a strict compliance agreement. Any breach, permanent ban. 2. I will release limited access first, but one of you will remain here under review until the first batch is accounted for. All brothers, surprisingly, remain here? Sir, that will delay operations, said Ifeanyi. Then you don't need access, replied Jidena. The brothers panicked, not because the condition was unfair, but because fear hates accountability. Then Kele spoke quietly. Let Tobe stay. He is in logistic anyway. And Jidena's heart squeezed because it reminded him of the old days. Sell him, throw him away. Same pattern, different room. After the meeting outside the office, Tobe pulled Kele aside. So it's always me you throw under the bus. Don't start. We need his approval, shouted Kele. You are not even ashamed after what we did to Jidena, said Tobe. Lower your voice, Kele warned. No, I'm tired. That boy didn't steal. You know it. I know it. God knows it, said Tobe angrily. And for the first time, truth tried to stand up in their family. Inside, Jidena heard everything through the thin wall. His chest rose and fell because Tobe still had a heart, and that was the point of the test, not to punish them, to see if anything had changed. Few days after, Tobe went to Jidena's office and knocked. Come in. His eyes carried fear and regret. Sir, please, I need to ask you something. Jidena, ask anything. Have you ever met someone and you just feel like God is using them, but you are also scared because you've done something very wrong before. Jidena stared at him. This was it, the moment before the review. Jidena, in a low voice, Tobe, why are you asking this? Because there is something in your face, something familiar, and I can't sleep these days. Jidena's eyes softened slightly, but he didn't review yet. Not yet. Jidena moved closer and said quietly, if the truth comes out, will you stand by it, or will you run like before? Tobe in tears, I will stand, even if it breaks me. And Jidena turned away because his eyes began to burn. Because the next part was not about approval, it was about revelation. After a father who needed healing and brothers who needed repentance. Jidena sat back down, wiped his tears quickly, and pressed the intercom. Not because he was emotional, but because destiny was heavy. Please, ask the Okoye delegates to return all of them. Yes, sir, replied office assistant. Kele and the others entered again. They forced smile. They sat like men waiting for judgment. Kele, sir, you called us. Jidena replied, yes. He opened a file and slid it across the desk. A printed report, a clean review. This is an audit report from your company years ago, the day money went missing. Tell me, who truly authorized that transfer? Asked Jidena. Sir, we already explained. Ifeanyi replied defensively. Jidena cut in. I'm not asking for your rehearsed answer. I'm asking for truth. Kele's eyes turned red because lies always panic when truth is specified. Sir, it wasn't Jidena, Tobe said, shaking. Tobe, whispered Kele. It wasn't him. We set him up, said Tobe loudly. Kele stood up angrily and shouted, Tobe, are you mad? Sit down, Kele, Jidena ordered authoritatively. Kele hesitates, then sits, because the voice carried authority, the kind that doesn't beg. Jidena walked around the desks and stopped in front of them. Then he said the sentence that drained their blood from their faces. My name is not Sir. So you know my name. I'm Jidena. Ifeanyi whispered, no. Kele stammering. It can't be. It can't be. Tobe's eyes filled with tears instantly. But Kele, he looked like a man seeing a ghost. They stood up one by one, not in respect, in fear, because power in the hands of the person you hurt feels like judgment. Jidena, yes, it's me. The same one you disgraced, the same one you threw out, and now you came to beg without knowing you were begging your own blood. Kele's mouth opened, but no voice came out. I could have destroyed you quietly. One signature, your company ends. One call, your names are blacklisted. But I did not call you back to punish you. I called you back to ask you one question. Have you changed? He looked at Kele. Kele, have you changed? I was afraid. I thought you would take everything, said Kele. So you took my name instead, replied Jidena. Jidena breathed in deeply. Then he spoke like a man who had met God in pain. Listen to me. You meant it for evil, but God used it to position me. If you didn't set me up, I would never have left. If I never left, I would never have met Mr. Deramola. If I never met him, I would never have entered detention. If I have never entered this detention, Sheyi would never have known me. If Sheyi never knew me, I won't be here today. So yes, you were wicked, but God knows why. He is wiser than your wickedness. Then he added something important. Because you wanted faith and hope, I forgive you. But forgiveness doesn't mean we return to the same pattern. From today, boundaries will exist. I will approve your company, not because you deserve it, but because our Father should not suffer for your sins. But you will do 3 things. 1, you will sign a written confession and apologize. 2, you will return what was stolen, every kobo. 3, you will meet our Father and tell him the truth. Jidenna, if I'm crying, Kele begging, please, Dad will collapse. Jidenna, no, truth will heal him. Lies are what have been killing him slowly. Jidenna, for the first time since he left home, dialed his father's number and he called him. As the phone was ringing, Jidenna was staring at the screen and his hand shaking. Then he heard a voice. Hello? Daddy? Who is this? It's me, Jidenna. Jidenna, my son. The father's voice broke like glasses because hope had returned after years of mourning a living child. Where are you? Where have you been? Dad, I'm alive. I'm okay. But there is something you must hear. The truth. And Jidenna didn't say it alone. He made the brother speak because repentance must have a voice. Tobe crying, Daddy, forgive us. We are sorry. We lied. Ifeanyi, we set Jidenna up. Kele, I did it, Daddy. I led it. Mr. Okoye gasps in pain. God, so it was my own children. Mr. Okoye didn't shout. He didn't curse. He just cried. The cry of a father who realized he wounded the only son who didn't betray him. Days later, Mr. Okoye came to the city with support. When he entered Jidenna's office, Jidenna stood up and they looked at each other like people seeing a miracle. My son, Daddy, they hugged and they cried. My son, forgive me. Daddy, I'm not angry with you. That hug didn't just heal father and son. It broke a spiritual shame. Jidenna approved the company, not for Kele, not for Ifeanyi, for his father. But the brothers, they didn't live with pride. They left with humility and consequences. Jidenna looked at the skyline and whispered, God, you didn't waste my pain. The story didn't end there. Governor Adeyemi protected Jidenna publicly because God can use kings to defend the innocent. And this is the modern Joseph story. They set him up, but they couldn't set God up. They tried to bury his name, but God lifted his name. Because when God is writing your story, the chapter of shame is never the final chapter. If you like my story, please follow me for more modern Bible stories. Please don't forget to share my story and please press the like button. And I remain your girl, Bella O. And this is RS Reality Stories, Real People, Real Love.